Welcome to the Casual Coders Podcast. This time I'm doing an intro and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to introduce everybody else starting right now. We've got Ian.
Hello, I'm a computer engineer. I don't know how to intro myself.
All right, Chandler.
Hi, I'm Chandler, and I just know how to code and don't have a degree yet.
Of course, you know me. I'm Alex, and I have no idea what I'm doing here. I also don't know what I'm doing when I'm coding, but it still seems to pay my bills. And we've got Quentin.
Yeah, I'm the blue-collar guy that doesn't know what the fuck is going on here.
All right.
Off to
I
a
don't know.
great start already, boys.
I love it.
I just work here.
I just work here. It's a mood.
Do you know what I do? Good, because I don't.
We're on the same page, it seems. All right, well, let's kick things off right off with a brief story that Chandler might have teased you in the previous episode about his Florida vacation. Chandler, what did you do on your
Not
Florida
to be confused
vacation?
with National Lampoons.
So, Ian, I know you're the editor, so you're gonna you're gonna superimpose some of these images. All right,
Oh,
I'm gonna send you some images.
Oh no.
We've got a slideshow for you. Please
Yes, we
turn
do.
the page.
Yes. Which
Future me, please turn the page and fuck this part up as much as possible. Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask a whole lot. I only actually have a few like good images.
All right.
One of the images Haley says I should have made my GitHub profile because it is an image of me.
That's how you know it's a good image.
That's
yes.
going to be another podcast.
yeah.
Yeah, it is an image of me
How
standing.
do you
I
pick
have
your
to-
How
I have
do
to
you
find
pick
it.
your GitHub profile?
You have it auto-generated for
It's
you.
a picture of me standing in front of one of the space shuttles, looking like a little kid staring at their hero.
Interesting.
I can't. I'm trying to find it right now for them, but you guys will see it on the podcast.
Yes, you're seeing this image right now.
As long as I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't see it.
Yeah.
And like, so we went to the John F. Kennedy Space Center. I'll find it later
yes.
for you guys. We went to the John F. Kennedy Space Center.
Must
it
be
was-
mind-blowing.
I'll
It
just have
was
to
mind blowing.
imagine it.
I had never been, and I guess
Looks great.
in my head, I never thought how big these things, like how big rockets were. I should have
They're friggin'
known
huge, dude.
how
Yeah.
massive they are. But one of the attractions we went to see while we were there was model of the Apollo rocket, the Saturn V. Or if it wasn't a model, it was like it had to have been like one of the ones they didn't use because I think they were only one-time use rockets.
Yeah, the
It
Saturn
was-
V was single.
It was bigger than an Amazon warehouse.
Wow.
It was massive.
Wow.
Absolutely massive.
Big boys.
Yeah, it was very mind-blowing to see and very, I guess, humbling to think that like things are that big. I don't know. It was very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the scale of just the...
We might be getting a brief image on our end, too. So
This
we
was
can
me
comment
standing
on
underneath it.
Wow.
Yeah, what? If you've seen the engines on like the space shuttle, they're huge.
This was me standing under it.
Yeah, exactly. They're like a
You-
couple
again, you
people
will see
in
this
diameter
image.
almost.
I'm guessing
huge.
that rocket had one hot supper when it launched.
Yeah. Well, we also saw the space shuttle Atlantis. That's the one. That's the image of me looking like a little child staring at the rocket.
Very nice.
Okay.
It was very interesting. I was very into space as a kid, so it was very like interesting for me to go see.
Sure.
Another thing we did on Wednesday of last week, we went to Disney World. It had been the first time I've been to Disney World since I was 12.
Oh man, here comes the long-winded topic.
Oh, and yes, this is the long-winded topic because the whole reason we went to Disney was because Star Wars of Galaxy's Edge was there. Mm-hmm. As many of our viewers know, and as many of, obviously you guys know, I am a massive Star Wars fan. Mm-hmm. So me going to Galaxy's Edge, and Haley, my girlfriend, also a massive Star Wars fan. So this was like us, like little kids, like going and running around Star Wars land and everything. And there was like stormtroopers walking around, and like it was so cool. But
Man was nerding out like a little kid.
I
don't know.
yeah, Haley kept hinting at me like, "Hey, you should totally go buy a ring and propose to me in front of the Millennium Falcon." I didn't, but
She's been giving you hints for how long now?
for about 3 months. I told her we're gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until she
Man's just shut his own girlfriend down. It's all good.
You just friend zoned your
His
girlfriend.
basic-
No, we're gonna wait. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
that's awkward for a roommate.
I know.
but we walked around Disney. We went on. There's 3 Star Wars rides at Disney. Okay, or Disney Hollywood Studios.
Only 3. I was expecting like an 18-page, like well-written essay from you, man.
There's only 3.
There's a lot of shops and restaurants, as I understand.
There
I
is
saw
a
your
lot of
Snapchats.
shops.
Oh,
Yes,
did
there
you
is a
write-
lot of shops and restaurants.
It's a whole world.
I didn't buy anything from any of the shops or
Smart,
restaurants.
frugal.
We did go to eat when we were in Disney once.
Okay.
But we didn't go to one of the Star Wars Land restaurants because honestly, the food looked fucking weird.
It's Star Wars.
I know,
green
but,
milk
like,
or
everything
so-
sounded good.
What,
Like,
bro? You don't want to eat algae? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's good
So
for
I
you.
was
It's good
there
for you.
3 years
Builds
ago
character.
when Star Wars
When it
Galaxies
first opened?
When it first opened and Rise of the Resistance wasn't under construction.
That's the one I want to go to last because
I
the one
had
I'm on for the
the
longest.
Ronto wrap from there, and it was really, really, really good.
Well, next time I go there, I will eat there definitely.
know.
So, but there's 3 Star Wars rides. One of them isn't even in Galaxy's Edge. One of the 3 rides isn't in it. It was the first ride they added. They added that ride way back in like the early 2000s, like right before the prequel started coming out. They added this ride. Now they changed it. They actually modified the ride to go with Disney's new trilogy, which I was not a fan of.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. I gotta
Hot
say.
take.
It's called Star Wars. It's called Star Tours, where basically you're in a ride with like C-3PO, and you just go to a bunch of different planets. That's the whole ride. That's like the whole thing.
Wait,
Like,
is
remember
this
seeing
that?
It's a simulator.
Yeah, it's the simulator thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Star
All
Wars
of the Star-
ship sort of thing that's hydraulically actuated
Yes,
and goes up
there's-
and down. Yeah,
there's-
I rode those when I was in Disney many
Okay, so that's the one that I rode then.
Yeah,
yeah, there's 3 Star Wars rides. 2 of them are simulators.
yeah.
So,
Oh.
the other one was called Smuggler's Run, and you're piloting the Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
And you have to go. You pilot the Millennium Falcon through like a gauntlet, and this is a ride where you actually get a score at the end of it.
Interesting.
This is not just a ride. This is basically a video game that you play for 5 minutes.
A number of Disney rides are like video games. There's the whole Buzz Lightyear sort of ride.
That's
where
in
you shoot
that's in
things,
Magic
or
Kingdom.
is
Yes,
that-
that's
yeah,
yes.
something. I know that one at least. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm cultured. Yeah.
So
a
this
Disney
one-
pleb. I got no idea what anyone's
So
talking
this
about.
one gave you a score at the end of it, and your score was how much money the person running the Smuggler's Run paid you. That's what it was.
If only.
If only, yeah.
If only.
You pay for your tickets.
you earned 15 schmeckles.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so the score was given. So how it worked was there was 2 pilots, 2 gunners, and 2 engineers.
Okay.
So the engineer's job was to like repair the ship and to grapple onto like cargo you were trying to capture in the ride. The gunners obviously are to shoot TIE fighters. And then finally the pilot's job was to pilot. So one pilot got up and down and one pilot got left and right.
Oh no.
Okay.
So and then the gunners got like one gun on the right side and one gun on the left side of the ship.
Okay.
And then the engineers just when the button light up, press button.
Oh,
Okay.
that sounds really boring.
Sounds
I'm
like being
sorry.
an engineer.
Yeah.
Well, of course, this entire time they had these wraparound displays that were 3D that made it look like you were in the Star Wars universe, as well as you were being jostled and shaken around by the
fair
hydraulics in the ride. It was really, really cool. They did a great job at doing motion simulation.
So which one did you guys do?
Yeah. Which one were you?
We wrote it twice.
Okay, so
which
which ones did you guys do? That didn't
did
answer the question.
Haley and I did Gunner the first time, and the second time her and I both did Pilot.
And who was better?
I was the better Gunner. She was the better Pilot.
Okay, that's good.
So
Correct answer.
but the first time we went through with her dad and her grandma, and that was good. And then we had like one random guy with us. This one random guy, by the way, he I don't know where he was from, but he was dressed in a Jedi robe.
Okay.
He had a R2D2 backpack that made beeping noises while we walked around Disney.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he had
He's a man of culture.
He had a lightsaber, and he had to be in his mid-20s.
You can use your imagination for this one.
Yeah, and
Mid-20s, neck beard. Yeah, I got it.
and he had
Average Redditor.
an accent that yeah, and he had an accent that I can only guess was from Central Asia, but it wasn't Chinese.
Interesting.
And he was a little darker skinned, so he was like, I would say Southern Asian. Like,
Pacific Islander.
I'm gonna guess Filipino,
Okay.
but he was a very nice guy. He was the engineer for our run, and then Haley's dad and her grandma were the pilots, and we were the gunners. The second time we went through with this very nice Canadian couple that we talked through the line the whole time. They were the gunners, we were the pilots. We got a higher score the second time. Her and I were both slightly better pilots, but she did slightly better on the piloting than I did. I did better on the gunning than she did. So, but that ride was really cool. It was only 5 minutes long for about a 45-minute wait, which isn't bad for Disney. That is
All
not
things
bad.
considered, that's really not bad.
Yes.
Now,
less than 2 hours.
Now
That's good.
we go to the last ride, and this is the ride. This ride, just the ride itself, takes 20 minutes.
Oh, that's a long time. So your wait times are
3 hours.
Oh,
3
no.
hours.
3 hours was
What
the
did
wait
you do
time.
in line?
No.
Now, the line was themed, so it had a bunch of cool stuff themed
That's
around
good, I
it and
guess.
everything to keep you entertained.
There's, like, people
there was
that
even
come-
like a phone game you could download to scan like codes to do little mini games while you were waiting in line.
Oh, man.
We didn't have to do any of this because we went right when the park was closing and that wait was only an hour.
Okay, that's good
much
that
better.
you at least got
At
a good
least-
wait
yeah,
out of
good-
it.
yeah.
We
Oh,
waited
that'd be
until the
awful.
last possible second to go to this ride.
Good call.
Because Haley had this app on her phone. There's an app you can get for Disney that will give you the ride times and your the wait times.
Fast Pass
It's called
Plus
Genie.
sort of- Yeah, I remember hearing
Yeah.
about
Oh, this,
that.
so
It's-
you
Cedar
paid-
Point.
you
No,
paid
no,
money
it's
or
free.
no?
It's
Island
free.
now.
Yeah, it's
Cedar
free now.
Point and
I
Kings
don't
Island has
understand how
that
that
too. It's
works.
really nice.
You mentioned you don't know how that works. I saw a really good video on
I've-
Defunct Land
I've
about Fast
seen-
Pass.
I've seen the documentary.
They
yes.
mentioned how Genie works, and it's actually very interesting to see like the modeling that went into how you get a massive amount of people riding these rides at the scheduled time. But anyway, please continue.
But yeah, so we only actually waited for an hour. This ride was 20 minutes long.
okay.
It is my favorite ride I have ever gone on, and it probably will be for a very long time.
Was worth
it was
the wait.
not a ride, it was an experience. So I'm going to tell you guys about it without spoiling it for my Star Wars super fans in the audience and Quentin.
You're not going to spoil it for me.
No, I'm not going to. The one thing I will say that if you at all, even like Star Wars just a little bit, you will turn into a little kid when you ride this ride. So the ride is split into, it's half a simulator, half what Disney calls a dark coaster. This is a type of roller coaster that Disney engineered from
Okay.
scratch. And the idea is that there's multiple cars, and these cars are not on tracks. They're literally just like golf carts that have computer control that drive you around a course with special events that go on throughout the ride.
Okay.
So it's basically like in a warehouse with like golf carts that are automatically driving, or are they on a track?
They're nose track. And
that's
every
awesome.
single time you go on the ride, it's random which track you get.
Okay, that's really
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, and then you go around, and I will spoil this. It takes place inside of a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. That's all I'm going to tell you guys,
Okay.
though. But I
Pretty
was like,
sure you could have figured that out by like looking at the Wikipedia article or
Right.
something, man.
yeah, but I like,
Is it Star Killer Base or is it the
it is
Death Star?
It is one of the Star Destroyers that circle Star Killer Base in Episode 7.
Oh, okay.
So it
this,
is-
this
it is-
shitty trilogy.
Which one is episode 7?
One of the new ones that just came
The
out
Force
recently.
Awakens.
Yeah.
I
Force
did see
Awakens.
that one. I saw that one.
Again,
Star Wars fans, please love me.
I don't like the sequel trilogy, but this was, again, my favorite ride I've ever gone on. It was amazing. And it was more of an experience than a ride. Because, like, you're in it for 20 minutes.
Han Solo just filled the void in our hearts.
Yeah. It was so cool. Okay. That's all I don't know what else to say about it without spoiling it for anyone. I don't know but it was worth the wait. If I would have known it was that, I would have waited for 3 hours to go on it. Like,
Fair
I'm
enough.
serious. I would have waited 3 hours and I would have been happy leaving for that 3 hour wait. That's
right.
how cool it was.
How much is Mickey Mouse paying you to say that?
Zero, not sponsored by Disney. I
believe
am
you.
very happy about that.
Right on.
Was going to Disney worth my $150?
That's pretty good for
Yeah, that's actually really good for
Disney. I think
Disney.
everyone's in agreement. That's
Everyone's
pretty
in
cheap.
How long were
That's
you there
pretty cheap.
for? Just the day?
Yeah, but what was it?
We were there from open to close.
Okay.
Just for the day. Okay,
That's
yeah,
pretty
that's.
good. Yeah, pretty good haul.
Did you guys get the park hopper pass?
No, because the only reason why we went to Disney was to go to Galaxy's
You had
Edge.
okay.
The Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
You're
the
both
Hollywood
Star Wars
Studios.
fans, so you kind of got the.
We
right-
had to, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So there's a couple other things that weren't Star Wars that went there, but those are my review of the 3 Star Wars rides.
What was the third one? Because I think you
Star
mentioned
Tours
two.
was okay. Smuggler's one was really cool. Not my favorite, but really cool and worth the wait.
Okay.
And then Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which is the third one that I was just telling you about.
Okay.
Worth the 3 hour wait it usually is.
Yeah.
Best ride I've ever done. No one's going to be able to top that except for maybe Disney.
Okay.
So there's a few other rides we went on when we were there. We went on Rock and Roller Coaster. I don't like roller coasters.
Rock and Roller Coaster is a great one.
It was a great one, and I hated Haley for dragging me on it. I don't like roller coasters. I like simulators, and I like Disney rides,
Yeah.
like dark coaster. Which again, they call them dark coasters because they're like the cart rides or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was screaming. Like, I normally, when I go on these types of rides, I'm dead silent. I was screaming the whole time on Rock and Roller Coaster.
That's good, right? That's what they want.
I guess, yeah, but
Somebody's got to scream in the background.
but when you have chest pains at the end of the ride.
COVID.
No, I don't know if I'm unhealthy or what, but I was not feeling very well when I got off the ride. I also hadn't eaten in almost 10 hours.
Probably for the better.
So that could have been the issue. I wouldn't have thrown up. I wasn't sick down here. I was sick like up here, if that makes sense. My chest didn't feel nice. I felt lightheaded when I got off the ride.
Interesting.
It was different. It was
What a
not
thrill it must have been.
Yeah, for being the first roller coaster I'd gone on in a decade.
See, I'm sort of the opposite. I used to really hate roller coasters because when I was, I don't know, somewhere around 5 or 6, I was dragged on the Beast at Kings Island.
Wow.
Great fucking ride.
I'm sure it's a great ride now. When you're 5 or 6, I was terrified of roller
awful.
coasters for ages.
Yeah.
But I can finally actually ride roller coasters, and I prefer them over, flat rides or other smaller things. I don't know. I don't find a simulator all that crazy exciting, if I'm being honest. I'd rather ride a roller coaster or whatever.
So we talked about Cedar Point before. Cedar Point owns Kings Island.
I think
all
they
Cedar
do,
Fair
yeah.
is the-
Yeah.
Cedar whatever.
They have like 5 or 6 parks across the U.S., maybe more.
Yeah, they have about 5. They used to own Geauga Lake, but the Geauga Lake closed down.
Yeah.
Geauga Lake. Miss Geauga Lake.
I do too.
R.I.P.
But Cedar Point, so they recently redid the Mean Streak.
The Mean Streak?
The big wooden one in the back of the park.
Yes, that.
And they made it Steel Vengeance. It's still all wood framed,
right.
but
Yes,
it's
yes.
steel track. I don't trust it because it's all still wood framed and it spins and twists and flips. I don't trust wood for that because if there's something wrong that day, or if the
soggy
or if
from
it's
the rain or
it's gonna snap and you're dead.
I can respect
But
that.
The thrill makes it enjoyable.
the
right?
Beast, they're doing that with.
Oh, boy.
They're remaking it a steel track.
That means that I've missed my chance to conquer the Beast then, I suppose.
The Son of the Beast, however, it was a lot rougher, and they took it down. They tore it down because there were many complaints about it.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Well, I was probably about 11 or 12, riding it with my dad, and my head smacked against the side because they actually have the...
Yeah, right. The head things. Yeah.
It cleared my sinuses for a week.
So it's a therapeutic experience.
Yeah,
There you
my
go,
head
man.
fucking hurt.
Yeah, I bet.
Really bad, but...
There were some things we did at Disney too that weren't necessarily rides that were really cool. So they have this thing called the Indiana Jones stunt show,
Okay.
where they do the stunts that you see in the movies. They do it live right in front of you.
Oh, I've seen that before.
It
Yeah.
was really cool because they had like actual stunt people who had actually been in like movies and stuff do it. And like some guy got ran over by the boulder from Indiana Jones.
Nice. I was about to ask if there's a big boulder, but I thought that was a dumb question. So they actually did have
Yes,
one.
they did actually.
Nice.
Well, and the guy who is like they had, I guess he was one of the assistant stunt directors for Indiana Jones. Like he was actually worked on it. Or maybe they just said that for his character, whatever. But he was talking about it. And he was joking, saying, "Oh yeah, it takes like 10 guys to move it up the thing," and then behind him you see 2 guys pushing it up the hill.
Right.
And then they had like actual vehicles driving around in the stunt show. I don't know what they were powered by, but they had one vehicle that had a piston in the back of it that flipped the truck and blew the truck up and caught it on fire.
Nice.
And they actually had a real woman inside the truck when they did that.
Yeah.
And now it
there
was
were-
so cool.
There was also the like car show. I don't remember exactly
That's
what
the
it
one
was,
that
but-
Indiana Jones replaced.
Oh, is that what that was?
That's what that was.
Because I've seen the car one, although I don't remember it well because it would have been many, many, many a year ago.
Yeah,
but
the Indiana Jones, they use the same, I think they use the same stadium area, but they do it for the Indiana Jones one now.
probably.
But
yeah.
they actually have like people jump off of like top like 4-story buildings in this show. It's really cool. I would never do it. It's really cool.
Somebody's got to do it.
Speaking
Hey man,
of
you got to do what you got to do. Jump off the building, you know.
speaking of the House of Mouse,
The House of Mouse.
House of Mouse.
Okay.
Oh boy.
so the Cleveland Indians just changed their name to the Cleveland Guardians.
Okay.
There were
Oh,
people
right.
trying to make a petition to get Disney to sponsor the team and have Groot be the mascot. Replace Slider for the Guardians and then change Progressive Field to Galaxy Stadium. So that way they're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
This is Star-Lord.
Well,
shirt
we all
from
know
Guardians.
Disney could afford it. Could Cleveland afford it?
Well, if Disney owned the team and the stadium, you know how good that would both be for the Cleveland Guardians, which nobody's going to do because it's Cleveland.
Hey,
Right.
Disney, Marvel used Cleveland for a few of the movies. I remember
Avengers.
watching.
Because it was cheap.
No, I remember watching Captain America: Civil War and seeing a sign for State Route 44 in one of the highways.
I know that highway.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, that's an Ohio symbol.
That's my state.
So
My dad told me about hearing minigun fire in downtown when they were filming the Avengers.
There's an old dilapidated building, like abandoned building that was used in one of the Avengers films.
Which one?
In downtown Cleveland. Yeah, right.
It's hard to tell.
So
I really wanted to fly our quads there at one point, but it's just so sketchy, the amount of crime that happens in that area.
Yeah.
And, you know, bringing a couple $1,000s of gear and then not having the ability to see around your surroundings when you put on your FPV goggles is
And one of your friends keep watch with a gun. Like,
Yeah, I know. Sort
As
of
you do in Cleveland.
not the greatest idea.
So the reason why Cleveland is used for a lot of New York scenes is because it's the closest city from LA to New York that looks like New York without paying to go to New York.
Is it
Yeah, New
really?
York is
Atlanta's the
expensive.
new one that they're using, I've heard.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why everything's made there, right? Or at least a lot of these shows and
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, Atlanta and LA are kind of like the two big Hollywood capitals of the U.S.
Yeah, it blows my mind that somebody would go to Cleveland and be like, well, if we're going to go 1,000 miles, we'll just go 1,000 and not, 1,200 or whatever. I don't know. What is it to New York? Another 400 miles?
Yeah,
Not
but
that
you
far.
also have to pay
New
to
York
actually.
is also expensive.
Yeah,
compared to
that's true.
Cleveland.
It's
Yeah, just
expensive to be there because you have to section off places where
Right.
you want to film.
That's true. Yes, I'm sure shutting down a block in New York is probably like impossible.
Ridiculously expensive, I'm sure.
If not
Whereas
impossible.
Cleveland, just fire off a couple shots and
Yeah,
the block's
right, yeah.
clear, right?
Warning shot. They gave a warning. All right.
My dad, I remember
At least
him
it's not Detroit.
because they filmed like
At least it's not Detroit.
Yeah, that's from our video.
But like my dad always would complain about that. He would always complain like, "Oh, they're filming another Avengers movie in downtown. I gotta take a different way to work." And
We're
I'm
so
like, "Oh."
popular. Life is hard.
Yeah, because
At
he.
least we're not Detroit.
Yeah, at least we're not Detroit. Sorry, Michiganians.
Rest
God,
in
the
peace,
hastily
Detroit.
made
They know.
Cleveland
They know.
tourism
They
videos
know.
are so good.
At least it's not the water in Flint. All right.
Dude, my roommate was
Okay,
from
we should
Michigan, and
probably
every
move
time
from the,
somebody would talk to him, they'd be like, "Oh, you're from
But,
Michigan?
you know-
How's the water?" Like it was the most annoying thing. He got so mad hearing that every single time.
But our rivers catch fire every few years.
That's true. Yeah, we're on a
right.
streak. We're pretty good on that. Best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, I guess. I've heard oh, sorry, ASMR. All right, I'm gonna topic shift again because this is something I want to talk about.
Okay.
As computer nerds, this is something that would be very near and dear to our
As
hearts.
computer nerds, this half of the table right here. Sorry, Quentin, just gotta.
Well, no, Quentin would care about this too. Okay,
Oh, okay.
We're
So-
all computer nerds
so
on this blessed day.
as many of you may know, Intel has been really pushing to build a fabrication plant here in the United States. Ohio is now in the running for one of the states that might get a fabrication
I
plant.
can immediately spew off one of the big reasons why.
What is the reason why Ohio's
Erie.
taking Lake Erie?
Fabs take a ton of fresh water. They have to
Oh,
rinse
and
the
cooling.
dyes
You think
a
Lake
whole
Erie is
bunch
fresh.
with
No, I'm just
high
kidding.
purity water. It's easier for them to grab fresh, clean water from Lake Erie and deal with that in the tens of thousands of gallons that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming Texas, right, which is where they were going at one point.
Yeah, Texas was the first state that was
has
in
less water, although they got more sand.
Yeah, but you can just ship sand. It's kind of well, I guess it's not hard to ship water either, but like, which is cheaper?
Yeah, but it's going to be easier for them to get water from Lake Erie. So I'm
Right.
assuming that they're going Cleveland because of the proximity to the Great Lakes.
Also, you have to worry about the power outages.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Ohio's on the
Yeah, being
U.S.
off the
grid.
grid.
Texas
Yeah.
is on its own grid.
It's not my country's grid. No, wait a minute. I got a question. Who? I swear one of you guys just posted this in Discord. Who is the chip manufacturer that was trying to look at Columbus for a new fab?
Is that Intel?
Was it Intel?
Posted that, or am I wrong?
Well,
Did we all forget?
Columbus is probably about a year ago. I heard that Columbus is one of the big up and coming tech capitals in the U.S.
It is.
Yeah.
Intel is looking at.
It is
Columbus.
Intel?
It
There
is
you
Intel.
Well, then, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, having the proximity to all the, business and having the infrastructure is nice, but then I feel like for places having a hard time getting employees right now, you got the biggest city in Ohio right now with a big population
Yeah,
of
because
engineers.
Ohio sure is where I think about when I think about tech
semiconductor
capital.
There's a lot of-
industry.
There's a lot of engineers in Ohio that could use the jobs.
There are a lot of engineers in Ohio that are looking for a raise.
please, yeah, right.
And then,
Also, technicians.
Yeah.
well, that's the other big thing too is that all the a lot of big tech companies are pulling out of Silicon Valley, which I don't want to go into the politics behind that.
so
but
expensive.
I do want to mention that Ohio is one of the states they're moving to. And that's really good for us.
That's really good
as
for us, yeah.
engineers.
Engineers.
Oh, cool. Everybody
As
wants to make
computer
this the new
engineers, that's
valley.
great for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas and Silicon Valley are the big two. Like, for example, one of my startups is officially headquartered of Houston. Like, because Texas is the big one. That's like the whole reason why Steven
Why
did
is
that.
Texas such a big one?
Because
everything's
taxes are
bigger in
low.
Texas.
That's what I figured.
Except for the taxes.
Yeah.
Texas is similar in comparison, like economy-wise, to the state of Ohio, but sort of like the whole paying to go to New York, it's cheaper for them to go a few states
Right.
over than 15.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, you got to transport a lot of equipment that's really expensive.
Texas
and
Instruments is
heavy
now
and-
Columbus Instruments.
Oh my God. What not Ohio, it's just Columbus. I'll see it someday.
OI.
Ohio.
OI.
Ohio Instruments.
Yeah.
It's OI.
Oi.
Oi, mate.
Although I don't think any.
Don't forget your OI graphing calculator.
My OI 89.
OI 89. No, speaking of pronouncing acronyms.
No.
Freaking not Intel, NVIDIA trying to change it so now TI is now pronounced TI.
It's actually the 1080 Ti.
It's the
This
1080.
has been around for like a year now.
No, this is like what Linus just talked about in the last Wayne show. That's why I'm
Oh
bringing
my
it up.
God.
It's making rounds on
It's
the media.
making rounds. It's been laughed about for ages now.
And it will continue to be laughed about now.
The 3080 Ti.
Yeah.
No, it's a 3080 Ti. I'm
3080
going to say
Ti.
TI.
TI stands for thermal intake. It's not
No,
a
actually,
fucking.
it's supposed to stand for titanium.
It's titanium, but that's and everyone's like, "Oh, it's
Well,
the
then it
chemical
should
symbol."
be the 3080
Right, TI.
titanium. Ooh.
Well, that's the other thing too. Okay, well, if you want to pronounce it, why don't you just use 3080 Super like you did for the 20 series?
It's a complicated system.
Because
out there.
I have the 2070 Super. I don't have the 2070 Ti,
It's a
which
rough
is
time
better than
being
my
mentally
Super.
handicapped out there.
I only have 3 numbers.
So you got a 960 at best.
Maybe someday.
Sorry, at worst.
Not in this economy.
Oh God,
Not in this economy. Man's rocking his whatever.
his system from 7 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking it's
960 for
550.
the win.
Yeah.
At least you have the 4 gig model, not the 2 gig model.
It's still tolerable in today's demanding.
Bro, it's okay. It's okay. You just rock a GT 205. You'll be okay.
Did
Your first ever NVIDIA chip.
You know, I could probably get 1024 by 768 with that, huh?
I'm pretty doubtful.
Your brother posted it in the Melon Tech server or whatever. Nolan, yeah.
Yeah, what the 30.
The
series?
ray tracing requirements
yeah.
for Dying Light 2.
Yeah, but Nolan also, he keeps saying, "Oh, I need a new GPU. I need to do ray tracing." No, you don't.
Wants a
What
new
GPU is he running?
It's 980 Ti.
Yeah, his is still better than mine, and he's like, "I need a new GPU."
So
A 980
That's
Ti is
good.
comparable to the new 3050
Yeah,
that's coming
it
out.
was
How does the
comparable
980 Ti
performance.
compare to a 1060?
Better.
He's doing better than I am, then.
It has the same amount of VRAM, but otherwise it's significantly
Right.
better.
Yeah, well, decrease the VRAM and other stuff because my 1060's in a laptop anyway, so
Oh,
it immediately makes it like 8 times worse.
no.
So don't buy a gaming laptop. If you're buying a like gaming computer, make sure it's a
Yeah,
desktop.
just start with the computer. It's easy to swap parts.
Yeah. Laptops have some
Thermal issues.
Why don't you desolder that RAM and tell me how easy it is to swap out?
Oh no, I don't care about that. I got socketed SODIMMs anyway. But
that
the
is
thermal,
so dim expensive.
the thermal
on
issues
mine.
on my computer are something a force to be reckoned with. I'm sure you love consistent 90-degree temps on an average load, or playing video games, the often random shutdowns because the computer overheated.
This man has dropped out of Halo matches at least a dozen times because his computer overheated.
Wow.
I paid $1,400 for that computer.
Yeah, but like 5
Don't buy
years
a gaming
ago.
laptop.
If you're
5 years ago, it was 2018. I guess
so
that was
it's
3
no,
years
even
ago
more.
now.
that was when I bought mine. I have the Acer Nitro 5. Mine actually, I never experienced that whenever we would play Siege.
It's possible that I fucked up the cooling system a little bit when I replaced thermal compound, but we're not going to talk about that.
ASMR podcast.
Nope. I was just being quiet for reasons.
Then we get sued by whoever,
So
Still, I'd never buy a gaming laptop.
now
Anyway,
let's
moving
shift
on.
this.
I can
other
also agree
other
with that.
people have topics, and I apologize for making this the Chandler Coders podcast.
That's, you know what? Everyone's got to get their own
We got to
slice
make
of
a
the
new
pie
intro.
here.
We got to make a new intro. This is a good
right,
name.
let's start
Chandler
over.
Codes. The Chandler Codes podcast. Yeah.
We are all guests. This is his podcast.
That's not the case. We
Wait,
are
then
all.
why are you not the host, huh? Why'd you make Alex kick it
This
off?
is a blockchain democracy.
My node does not
No,
agree
you
with
are
that.
the
My
Senate.
node doesn't agree with that either.
I'm gonna
You're
commit
being voted off the island.
You are the Senate.
Yeah.
All right, so anyone else have some topics they want to discuss? Actually, Ian, you do, about a car.
Let's hear it.
Oh, about the car? Yeah. So if you're looking to buy a new car, buy it before 2026 because it's been snuck into legislation that all vehicles sold in the United States of America after the year 2026 must have some method of detecting if you are drunk or driving impaired. Now, how that's going to happen, it's not really defined. So is it going to look if you're swerving around and just kill the engine on your car? Or is every vehicle going to be equipped with a breathalyzer now? And also, who's paying for it? The consumer, obviously.
So if you're swerving, what do you do if you're swerving and missing potholes?
If you're swerving to miss potholes or a deer or something else, and suddenly your car just gets turned off?
I'm not a simp for the U.S. government or any of the innumerable companies that probably work for them, but I'm going to go ahead and just wage my... I'm going to put out a guess here.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and agree with
the
government.
They're probably not going to shut down your car if you're swerving around because that's incredibly dangerous. So let's put away that straw man and attack this from an easy perspective.
I've seen governments do dumber shit, so I'm not going to discount that.
Don't get me wrong. We are not in the smartest country in the world right now, but I think they know better than to cause more accidents on the road by having people uncontrollably swerving on the road.
Granted, the CIA has actually killed a man by hacking into his car, disabling the brakes, and forcing the accelerator to accelerate him into a tree.
I'm sorry, what?
This is a true story.
That seems like a really good example of painting in the extremes.
When?
I don't recall exactly the time, but the CIA did kill a man.
Okay, so let's attack this from a reasonable perspective.
This is a reasonable perspective.
Let's say they do put breathalyzer equipment in a car.
Yeah.
Weird. Maybe intrusive. Maybe in the best interests for the American public. Maybe not. What are the implications of now...
Well, now you're assumed to be under the influence if you...
Right.
You know.
Okay, I've got a tube now. First of all, how weird is it? Can you imagine? Hey, let me start up my car. Hold on. Let me just blow into my car real quick. Already a weird premise, but
this is a thing they already do, though, with known drunk drivers.
Right. And I've seen...
If you're already a drunk driver.
Right.
But then how about guilty until proven innocent or innocent until proven guilty?
So,
you're just assuming that everyone is automatically drunk to
let's
even
roll
be
with
allowed
that.
to drive a car.
That seems like a reasonable assumption. Maybe a breathalyzer. You can see them on wish.com for $10, right? So that's a pretty cheap thing they could add to the car, right? Let's assume now every car after 2026 has a breathalyzer.
Where does it end?
Go. Well, let's not go slippery slope either. Let's just start with the breathalyzer. Yeah. Would it be funny? I mean, are we already assuming now the cars are going to have a voice? It's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do that. Or like, they're going to be like, what? Have another one on me, but I'm never going to start. You know, like, I don't know what it's going to be. Like,
that'd be really funny. Right. Your car just taunts you. Oh, sorry, Dave, you're too drunk to
Might as well have another one, dumbass.
I'll drink to that. All right.
That's why you're not allowed to drive, asshole.
Right. So, I mean, does a crappy wish.com breathalyzer know more than the average American?
If there's no legislation against it, I will override this the second I get the car home.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you going to say?
The punishments for that as well? I mean,
it's going to be a secondary offense to have modified your breathalyzer in your car.
How is it actually going to stop anything either, right? Oh man, I'm a criminal. I drive drunk all the time. I'm going to buy a car from 2000. Oh my God, he got around it.
Yeah, let's assume that people who drive cars drunk also can buy the latest model of car.
They can't. They fucking can't.
They're driving their 1995 Toyota Corolla that cannot have a breathalyzer.
I don't know where our viewers are from. I actually looked at the statistics. We have people from like Belgium who listen to this. Yeah, we have worldwide viewers already.
Shout out to the one guy from Germany.
Really?
I want to say.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have a 3% female audience.
Yeah, shout out to our 3% female audience. As well.
So the one girl who watched this.
It's probably Raina. Anyway, so here in Ohio, in the state, we have a law where if you get caught having a DUI, I think 3 times, you have to get yellow license plates on your car.
Party plates.
Yes, everyone in Ohio calls them not by their name. Everyone calls them, even the cops call them party plates.
I think in New York they're bright pink, which is almost a little more offensive. Yes. But at least here they're only like yellow and red.
Yeah, they're yellow with red lettering. In New York, they're pink with red lettering.
Yes.
Oh boy. What is the? There's also a place that's got like.
And you have to get high risk insurance.
There's also some. where is it that has red with yellow lettering as well? Because there's some.
There's
Great
a
question.
third state that doesn't. I think.
Yeah, there's a
that's
couple of them that do it. Honestly,
is
every
that-
time I see them, I think party plates, and I think
I don't
oh,
know. I've
geez.
thought that I've
Let me get away from you.
I've seen red with yellow lettering, but I didn't think that was a DUI plate. I thought it was something else, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Something like New Mexico, their plates look really, really similar to our DUI plates,
Yeah.
so it's hard to tell sometimes. Where if it's just like, oh, you're from a different state, or you're driving a rental, or
Yeah.
Or it's a drunk
party
driver.
plates. I don't know. Yeah.
I think you wound up in the wrong area code while
Yeah, right.
drunk,
How
bud.
did you get here? Yeah.
Well, then there's
Yeah.
also a law. I don't know if it's in Ohio, but I've heard of laws where like you have to get breathalyzers put on like frequent DUI cars, where like if you have any alcohol in your system, it'll just not let you start your car.
yeah.
I don't know if that's an Ohio thing. I know that the plates are an Ohio thing. That's a common thing. I also know that like usually for your first DUI offense here in Ohio, they don't throw you in jail. You just have to take a class on why you shouldn't drive drunk.
They go too easy on you here.
Just
If you want
slap
them
on
to
the
go
wrist.
easy on you, why didn't you move to Ohio, huh?
That's just the first. By the third, I think it's the third is when they make you put the party plates.
That's
So the
that's
first
very
one,
sweet of them to
so
wait
they're-
that long.
Yeah, the first one they're not really hard on you. The second one you're going in jail for a little while, and the third one you're going in jail and you have to get party plates.
But
I
you
think-
can still drive.
Hey man, party plates sound pretty appealing.
Maybe
you
you'll
know?
learn your lesson sometime.
Oh god.
I'm pretty sure after the third one, they suspend your license
the
for a while
fifth.
too.
Well, I think by the fifth they suspend your license permanently.
if you have 5 DUIs, you should not be allowed to drive a car.
No,
Period.
I'm saying that by the fifth, I think they suspend your license permanently in Ohio.
And I know nobody drives with a
Five's
suspended
probably
license,
too many
so thank
still.
goodness. Phew, we're
5's
safe.
probably too many still. That being said, I'm still wholeheartedly 100% against every car being mandated to have a breathalyzer installed.
Especially-
Likewise,
especially-
I agree with you on that.
Well, then there's the other, and I'm gonna play even more devil's advocate. Okay, let's instead of they do just a breathalyzer, let's say they go the route of Elon Musk's company Tesla and put a camera that records you all the fucking time in your car.
See, my car technically has that.
Yeah, wouldn't that
but
be terrible
it's
if every
an
device you own did that
opt-in
already?
Feature.
Okay, you have a point, Alex. I'll give you that.
I know, I'm
That's
just-
just another way, though, that the government can track and incriminate you, and I don't like that. The
and
last
will.
podcast, I just went on a tangent about how I'm very pro Web3, and that's going to make it harder for people to track you. So I don't like that. Even if they can track me now. Hey, can you show Haley ads for a new GPU? Thank you.
Hey, algorithm.
But like, still, it's really, I don't know. It still bothers me that that's even like a possibility.
That should be a shirt.
In
quotations,
honestly,
hey,
the
algorithm.
camera. The weirdest thing is the camera doesn't bug me all that much. It's an intrusion, but it's nowhere near as big an intrusion as Tesla being able to remotely shut down your car for any reason they want whatsoever.
That's
And
kind
yes,
of.
you do sign that agreement when you buy a Tesla.
That is correct.
I mean,
New.
it's just like any
You-
other
you don't.
document. You sign it, you don't look
At
at.
what point does it turn into law enforcement remotely disabling your car for whatever reason, or remotely driving your Tesla into a tree to kill you?
It's like a weird way
Pretty
of taking
weird.
it, but yeah, sure. If you want to go,
I'm
from
gonna
like
take it that
Yeah,
way.
I know
An
you do.
extremist libertarian view, yes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Extremes paint the best pictures, as
They
we learned.
certainly
Yes, they do, and that's-
Are they accurate pictures? Not always, but they certainly paint
Not
good
necessarily.
pictures.
They paint good pictures, but you can't even tell me I'm wrong because it's happened in the past.
I understand
right?
why somebody would be very afraid of that thought.
Source code's closed as well. At least with OpenPilot, you can look through it and find a back door if one exists.
You don't know who can have access to that API.
You don't know who's got access to your Tesla.
Yeah. It is kind of, I always wonder, and this is kind of a good point. Like, you got to think as like the average Joe. I mean, I'm kind of on the bad side of things when I say I'm one of those people who like, I'm not super concerned about privacy. And we sort of mentioned this in a previous podcast, so I won't get super into it. But like when I'm like one of those people who's like more
worry, I
neutral, I know. I'm more neutral where I'm like, I know when someone's asking too much for my privacy and they ask for personally identifiable information. I'm like, no, you may not have that. But at the same time, when it's anonymous, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Sure. If you say it'll make the app better, go ahead. I do always wonder, because they explicitly don't give you access most of the time to the data that they take from you. I wonder how much data exists about me at all, anywhere.
More than you're aware of.
Anywhere in the world.
I'm more with Alex on this. I'm a little bit more moderate when it comes to this. I'm very pro privacy. However, if it inconveniences me to be pro-privacy, I won't do it.
Right.
See,
And now if you ask Ian, that's a
Right.
bad thing. I
That's where we're-
should be pro-privacy.
I'll jump-
I should have a VPN. I should be doing all my transactions in crypto.
I'll jump into the next topic anyway then. Privacy is dead in the modern age. You
Oh,
cannot
God.
live a private life anymore.
Sure, you can. You just can't have a smartphone.
If you want to exist,
you can't use the internet.
you can't have a smartphone. You can't use the internet.
You can use
cannot
Web3.
Use a bank account.
No.
You can't use a bank account.
Sure. Why would you have cash? Right. That's it.
Where are you getting the
Oh,
cash?
man,
you can't have a job. You have to give
he's
away
done,
your
I
information
have a
for
rant
your
about
job.
the cash thing.
I mean,
Right.
if you consider like having
Property taxes, everything.
right? So that's you want the libertarian utopia. That's what you're saying. If you want to be truly private and off the grid, you have to not owe anything to anyone. I mean,
don't.
you don't want the UN to know you exist. I mean, you have to basically not
I
exist.
mean, I'd prefer no one know I exist.
Right,
Yeah,
but I mean that's
great.
where you go.
Yeah.
I mean it is very tough. Yeah,
No,
in
but
today's world to be
I don't
private
know.
is very
to
hard.
be private's impossible, right?
You have to go out of your way to try to be private.
If you want to be private, you have to figure out a way for just a private phone. You have to figure out a way to buy a used phone from someone a few towns
Get a trap
over
phone.
with cash.
Right.
You then have to buy with cash a SIM card from a place.
Just use Bitcoin.
Find a way to activate that phone in a public place.
Right.
And you have to put that phone in a Faraday cage whenever it comes
Yeah,
near
already it's tracking you every time you connect
Right,
to a tower.
exactly.
Right.
Whenever you can't shut it off either.
Remove the battery. Get a phone where you can remove the battery.
Sure, and then you can never power it on next to your
exactly.
actual normal phone.
You might as well not use
you
it
can't
then.
turn it on while it's in your car because, spoiler alert, every modern car has a SIM card and a GPS in it.
Mine doesn't, but it's old.
Yeah, mine doesn't because it's not modern. Yeah.
Mine does.
so
in
does
fact, I
mine.
guess it's got two. With the
Mine has
Commodore.
cruise control and a CD player.
But it's almost impossible. The amount of operational
Right.
security that you would need to follow every day would make it impossible to live. You can't use that private phone for anything.
Have you
And
thought
the
about
moment
moving
you
to
place a
Somalia?
Call with it, I should.
It sounds
Fully
like that's what
wipe
you want.
myself off the grid.
Yeah, right.
And you see, the thing
Move
is,
to Central Mexico.
Sure.
the thing is, I wish I was ignorantly bliss, but well, now I'm informed about this stuff.
Yeah.
and it
The only
makes
technology
my
I have
life
is a printer, and
hell.
there's a gun next to it in case it makes any weird noises.
Even a printer is horrible technology now. It's
It
always
does make weird noises.
Your printer's phoning home anyway. If I could run open source software on a printer, I'd love to. That'd be great. Someone needs to do that.
Dude, no, Casual Coders Project, open source printer.
Let's do it.
Make better drivers than HP.
That's easy. I just have to put down a single line of code and the driver, and he'll be good.
anything is better.
Yeah, anything is better than HP's drivers.
Sure.
Yeah. But no,
All right.
it's so impossible.
Not
to
sponsored
be
by
private.
Hewlett Packard.
Yeah.
Why would we be
Sorry.
sponsored?
Really not sponsored by Hewlett Packard.
They don't want
HP
you to
and your
know.
printer drivers suck.
Well, there goes another sponsorship.
It's all right. We got
HP's
two.
really
of them.
gonna sponsor.
We'll get two of them.
It's okay.
Yeah,
We're all
we
our
have-
own sponsors here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, our sponsor. Today's podcast has been brought to you by Kyle, who provided all of this equipment.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Kyle is the one sponsor for this podcast.
All right, so going on that whole extreme pro privacy thing, okay? I've been having I get hounded by Haley's parents all the time because I don't carry cash on me,
Okay.
and they're very pro cash, pro not having the government track you. And then every time I bring up that their phone is the perfect tracking device, they get mad at me. So,
Ah, yes.
but
Ignorant and bliss.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I wish I could live that way. I really do.
But like they yell at me all the time that I don't have cash, and when I mention that cash is not the future, crypto is, they look at me like I'm nuts.
That's because you are.
As they should.
So I have an interesting
I don't even
take on that.
disagree with them.
Now I know they're right.
I have an interesting take on that.
Let's hear it.
So I don't think we should be a completely cashless society
Of course.
Okay.
because back in the day, you want to go to like one of my favorite things to go to is a fairground.
Well,
Who's-
here's the
who's
thing.
gonna
They
use a-
own food trailers, so that's like their exact example they give me every time.
I'm just saying, like
You
I
can't
love,
get French fries and lemonade with crypto.
but I'm just saying, like, or
Alex, I intend to change that.
or if your
Okay,
kid,
so then you're paying the crypto processing fee
Right.
instead of the credit card processing
your
fee.
kid
Correct.
has
It's
an,
still cheaper to use cash.
or if later on in the life, if you have a kid and they have an allowance, you just
I
Yeah,
will
here's
pay
your-
my kid in crypto.
Yeah.
Change my mind.
Here's your
kid
free
asks you for
Dogecoin,
$20,
son.
and your kid asks you $20 to go to the mall. You know, what are you gonna do? Just hand them your credit card?
Hold on.
No,
malls,
you hand
malls
them a
still
flash
exist in the
drive with
future?
800
Oh, my
Dogecoin
kid's
on
gonna
it.
be like, "Hey, Dad, can I order this thing from Amazon?"
That's just
No,
my
son,
opinion.
you're not
It's
allowed.
like-
That's going to leak our private
like-
information.
And besides, it's also
this
nice
is a
to keep
Newegg
cash
family.
on hand, just in case you fucking need it.
I mean, I think you're bringing up a good example of petty cash. Literally
Yeah.
petty cash. Like having just the ability to give someone $3.
So there
it's
are
not
other-
practical to do it with whatever else.
Or
app.
having the ability to pay someone for their
Okay.
services if you really need it. Or
That's right.
whatever. Like, at the
That's
side of
really the only
road.
reason why I think that you shouldn't go
you know.
cashless.
I don't leave the house. I can't go get cash.
Well, that's 'cause
That's
you're
a Chandler
fucking
problem.
nerd.
However, I also don't carry cash.
See, like,
But I feel
you're
like
more
if you-
playing devil's advocate.
Am I the
like,
only one that carries cash here?
I carry cash.
Okay, so we both carry cash.
So you should be able to carry cash, but we should not be a cashless society.
Okay, so your opinion is we shouldn't get rid of the cash, but if you don't use cash, that's okay.
Yes.
Okay,
I
that's
don't have
sounds
an
like
issue
what
with
we've been
because
for the
I don't
past
have an issue
25
with that.
years.
I don't
Yeah,
have an
that's-
issue with that either. But like at the same time, okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. I guess me joking about the crypto thing is a little bit extreme.
You were
is.
making a joke.
I was making a
So-
joke, and most of the time when I
like
say
your
that to
record.
them, I'm not being serious, but they think I am. So, but like at the same time, then they're-
However, though, you're right. It is the future. Eventually, we will be cashless.
but I think it's a
That's
lot
eventually
longer
what-
away than they think.
But I think we're also a lot further along to cashless society than they think.
Well, then,
Right?
then the other thing they always argue
I
is
mean,
that
we're
they
a
think
lot further along towards the crypto society.
Who doesn't
anyway,
get paid
right?
direct deposit? I would say a very small fraction of people.
I mean, it's eventually going to be sort
Otherwise,
of
it's
along
a
the lines
check.
of
right.
Which is
Which is still not cash,
cashless,
right.
Right.
full circle. Cyberpunk. How did they transfer unit? They just transfer.
my theory is cyberpunk is crypto.
I'm just saying though. You know what I mean? They just transfer
Chandler take.
They just transfer like
That's my
the
head
user
canon. It's
interface
actually Bitcoin.
for the person. They just transfer between the two people.
Yeah, and like so another like
Through a
so,
government server and they take their cut.
so here's the
Proof of
here-
authority,
Going
alright.
back to that,
And Detroit Become Human does the same thing. The robots have a little chip right here that obviously tells you they're a robot. They can easily take it out. Never played.
It's a very good game. Do play it.
It is a very good game.
It's actually 50% off until Monday, January 17th.
Really?
This podcast is coming
week-long
out
deal.
well after that day.
but
this podcast
that's how the two
Oops.
that's how the two AI that's how they communicate and pay on the behalf of somebody else. They do it wirelessly to each other, and the one is just transfers it to the institution that they're paying to.
It
So-
could be wireless to each other, but it's most likely also running through an external server, which takes its cut, i.e., a
Yeah.
government server.
or the blockchain, which I'm fine with giving a cut to. Anyway, so
I don't
got
want
a
to give a
blockchain
cut anymore.
well, anyway, so the big thing that they always get mad at, their argument is, oh, well, if everything is cashless, the government can control your money. And then I, of course, bring up crypto.
Can they not do that
The
already?
government already controls your
Right,
money.
what?
They just print more.
Exactly. And that's my other argument, too, is that cash isn't any less secure than
the
your
only
bank
way
account.
that you could possibly avoid
You can
the
track
government.
cash. It's hard, but you can do it.
They've got serial numbers on them.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
And like that's always my argument as well. That being said, normally the government doesn't give a shit about
You
cash.
could
so
also-
that's what money laundering is for. I
Another
guess.
thing, if you rob a bank, all of the cash that you've just pulled
Has
from
serial
the robbed
numbers.
bank has a serial number on it and just becomes
Wait
Yeah,
till I tell
so-
you about the Federal
useless,
Reserve
and
banks.
then they'll track you down using
Yeah,
the serial
just
numbers.
like the crypto staking
Whoa.
thing we just discussed last. No, sorry.
call back.
Call back. No.
We do so many of those. It's okay.
So, one of the things that I remember seeing is that I saw like a 30-minute documentary on DB Cooper. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it was some guy who hijacked a plane, and he was given like $30,000 cash from a bank, and that bank had all of that money, all of the serial. They had what's called I think it was called a hostage package, where
Interesting.
it was just a bag of money that had
Okay.
all the serial numbers written down.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that way, if you were to say try to spend it, and then they would publish all those serial numbers into the newspapers. This was back in like the 70s.
Okay.
They would
Oh,
publish,
got it.
They would publish all these serial numbers, and then like banks and like different services and whatever would be tasked with tracking and checking the serial numbers whenever the money comes in. And they never found them. They never found the serial numbers.
That's really impressive.
Ever? Or
Ever.
like
well,
not
okay, so they didn't find them
for a long time.
for another 10 years.
Okay.
And in 10 years,
long
they
game.
found a single bundle of $10,000. That's it.
really interesting.
And they didn't find anyone attached to that money. They just found it buried in the sand 30 miles from where he theoretically jumped out of the plane.
That's very interesting.
And other than that, they never found the man who's went by DB Cooper, which they know was an alias that was not his real name.
Makes sense.
They never found any trace of him being dead in the woods, nor did they find any of the money except for that $10,000 buried in a sandbar in Washington State.
Do you think that he just like hid that $10,000 just as like?
My theory is that he spent it outside of the country that weren't tracking it.
That's immediately what I turned to. Is I was like, well, I bet no foreign country is going to be tracking these USD.
Make its way back into the country?
You would think, but I mean, like, how closely do you monitor stuff? I mean,
and apparently the FBI still occasionally sees if any of the serial numbers have popped up, and they haven't.
So what was this? 70s? You said
I think it was late 60s, early 70s.
60s, yeah. Well, that's interesting to consider.
He hijacked like an airplane with like all the stewardesses and the pilot, and they told him something like, I want 4 parachutes, I want X amount of dollars in cash, and he said he had a bomb strapped to it in his briefcase, and he opened up the briefcase, and all the stewardess saw was a bunch of sticks of dynamite wired up to what she thought was a timer. It's theorized that wasn't a bomb.
They weren't very smart in the 60s.
Yeah, so they thought it was a bomb. Either way, he hijacked a plane.
Probably just a bunch of hot dogs.
And they wanted him to fly to Mexico. They wanted
asbestos-coated
Spray paint
wires.
some hot dogs, red. Yeah.
They wanted him to fly. He wanted the pilots to fly him to Mexico.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, and then he jumped out of the plane over the northern Washington wilderness.
Huh.
Because they theorized that he specifically hijacked the plane that he did because this plane had been used by the CIA because it looked like a civilian plane, not this specific plane, but this model of plane had an aft, like the back end of the plane had a staircase that would drop down so people could jump out of it. The CIA used this model of plane to sneak spies into other countries because it looked like a civilian plane and it acted as a civilian plane.
Interesting.
But you could drop the back out and people could jump out of it.
This DB Cooper did his research.
Yes, that's why they think he was like a paratrooper in the military.
Huh.
Is one of the prevailing theories. That's why he picked this plane and that's why he asked for parachutes. And he also specifically picked a parachute out of the batch of 4 he was given. He picked one that was an old military World War II era parachute. So they think he might have been a paratrooper in World War II. Because he specifically picked that parachute to use.
Let it be known this is the one plane hijacker that actually knew what he was doing.
And got away with it.
Right.
This is the only person that got away with it.
That's pretty interesting, actually, to think about. Yeah.
That's wild, yeah.
Assuming he's not dead in the northern Seattle wilderness.
Yeah, I guess we never really know.
No, we didn't. And nobody, like I said, nobody's found his body. Nobody's found the money. And this is literally 50 years since this happened.
Huh.
The world may never know.
Or almost 60, yeah.
I'm gonna just ice the never there and just say the world will never know. Or I'm gonna ice the may. And just will replace that with will.
Bills from the 1960s that apparently these serial numbers were published and still only came
Nobody
up with
found.
allegedly a third of the money total. Yes.
I want to say it was more than $30,000 he got, but I know it was about $10,000 they found.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was roughly $10,000.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or it's hidden away somewhere in a CIA document and they did find the guy.
Yeah,
and
they probably
tortured him
just
and
didn't
killed
want to
him,
tell
but,
anyone.
you know.
They're embarrassed.
Or
that they
another
were that bad
theory.
at-
Or another theory is that this entire thing was a test by the CIA to see if they could actually just track someone who stole a plane.
There's just some copycats. They're trying to snatch them up or what?
I don't know, but it was, and then there's a couple years later, there was copycats who tried and failed.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
I'm
So
sure of that.
that's another theory is that they theorized that they orchestrated it so they could catch the people who would have, they thought they would have done it.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of conspiracy theories behind it. But all of the
Naturally.
suspects are dead now, or
Well,
almost dead.
So DB Cooper, I looked it up. He stole. So based off of what you said, $30,000 in 1971 is the equivalent of $206,000 today.
Not too bad. You could almost buy a house.
Yeah.
Well, in Mexico, where
right.
he's theorized to have gone, or
probably-
Canada.
Yeah.
Although here's the thing, Canada would have been one of the countries you'd think would track the money. Because Canada was literally our closest ally because they are our neighbor.
Yeah, they got their
Right.
own money to track.
I guess that's true. And then another theory is
America's hat.
America's hat.
But again-
it's America. It's just socialist America. Changed my mind now.
But again, that's so many bills. You would have expected that something would make its way
And
back
they were-
across
and
the
they
board.
were
I gotta
in
think though.
some point.
Let's be honest. As somebody who worked in the mall and saw multiple coworkers accept fake bills all the time,
By accident.
how many people are really going to be checking these serial numbers? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
It'd
maybe
be
the
like the
bank
bank
that
or
you
an
turn them
automated
into
system.
would be like telling your manager, "Hey, did you know this bill has a problem?" But I mean, yeah, honestly, that
But yeah,
I feel like
I
a lot of it
guess-
could just slip through the cracks.
Can
I guess
confirm
that's
that callback used to work on ATMs.
Yeah.
ATMs actually do check serial numbers.
Yeah, I figured.
That doesn't.
Yes,
surprise
but
me. I
again,
would
this
hope
was
they
the
would.
'70s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but so
The
another.
ATM would be better than a real teller.
I have a story related
most
to
part.
I have a story related to counterfeiting when I worked at the pizza shop.
Ooh.
This guy came in. All right, so my friend Jesse was working in the drive-thru. Okay, and this guy Jesse knew this guy, and this guy said, "Hey, can I get $100 in scratch-offs of some X scratch-off or whatever?"
Oh.
And
You sold lottery tickets.
Yeah, we sold lottery tickets
know
at
that,
the
okay.
pizza. Well, it was a pizza
you
shop
been to
and
the-
There's a
drive-thru.
drive-thru
you
that
been
also
to the
sold
drive-thru?
booze.
Also-
I've never been to this one that he's talking
So-
about. I've heard about it.
Drive-thrus are almost only an Ohio thing.
Yeah, this is weird. So people never. Every time I tell people from even around places in Ohio that I could just go drive through somewhere and pick up booze, they're like, "Wait, what? You mean you drive in and get beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, is that not something you do?" Not very common, I guess.
I guess not.
I know
yeah.
they're not very common.
You drive through and it looks just like a gas station, but you drive your car through and then you just hand them your ID and your cash or your card.
And then
they
we
give
sold.
you
We didn't just
whatever.
sell beer and we sold pop, chips,
Convenience
and
store
it was
stuff.
also a pizza
Right.
shop.
They
So you
sold
could-
teas and
It's
everything.
the
yeah.
drive-through convenience.
Right, drive
Yeah.
through convenience.
But here's the whole point was though the only reason why he built the drive-through is because his logic was, oh, they're picking up pizza, they might want a 12-pack of beer too.
Yeah.
So that's why he built it.
I mean,
anyway,
it seems reasonable enough to me.
Sure.
Gotta say.
and almost all of our
Seems like it worked out pretty well,
and
too.
a good chunk of our sales was, oh, hey, I'm picking up a pizza. Can I also get a 12-pack of Busch, like that kind of thing.
There you go.
But so this guy came in, he asked for $100 in lottery tickets, okay? And Jesse admits he made a mistake. He said this was his fault. And he said he handed the guy the lottery tickets first.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
And then this guy handed him this wadded up, what you could tell almost, it had 100 on it and it looked like a $100 US bill. He handed in the bill. The second Jesse's fingers touched the bill, the guy floored it.
Yep.
And Jesse unfolded it, and it had Chinese lettering on it, and it was obviously printed with an inkjet printer.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jesse went to high school with this guy, knew his name, knew his first and last name,
Alright,
even
so-
knew where he lived. So
If
Jesse,
you're gonna scam someone, don't do it in a town of 1,000 people.
Yeah. Probably not the
Jesse called the
smartest thing in
sheriff.
world.
The guy was arrested within the hour.
Well,
Wow.
you know, given the fact that the bill was so very clearly counterfeit, he's not very smart anymore.
That being said, I think he only served 2 months in prison, or even that less. I mean, he might have even gone to prison. I don't
It's
even.
it's
Theft
petty
of $100,
theft, yeah.
right? That's pretty low.
Yeah, but either way, he did get in trouble. It took less than took less than a day to catch and find the guy. Because okay, then that's the other dumb thing. He went home. How dumb are you?
Not very intelligent. We've gone over this.
I'm sure the local law enforcement knows him very well.
yeah, probably.
and the sheriff.
All right, guy, it's you again.
Yeah,
We're,
right.
We're
So
done
what
with
happened
this.
is that while Jesse was being interviewed by the police officer, I had to cover him in the drive-thru for an hour. But whatever. The officer was really nice, and he said, "Oh, hey, do you know this man?" And here's the worst part was he pulled up the guy's mugshot. The cop did on his phone.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure it was flattering.
He must be
Yeah,
a
man,
regular.
it's old Cooter again.
He's a regular. Yeah, he's a regular.
He's a regular.
here.
But but my town doesn't have a police department. We
Is there
have
one sheriff?
we have to go straight to the sheriff.
Your one sheriff in
The
his
one
vehicle that he
sheriff
parks
in
up on the
town?
hill.
And a
Yeah.
statey. There's a statey who
Ah,
lives in
yes,
town
of
too.
course.
Statey.
He just
I haven't
patrols
actually
the
heard
local
the
highway.
term statey, but I'm
No?
aware. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not a thing you've heard. That's like a common
State
thing.
Highway Patrol.
Yeah, I know
Statey,
it's
they
State
call them,
Highway
yeah.
Patrol, but I haven't heard the term.
I don't know. That's
We,
apparently common around
we
here.
just had a statey and a sheriff.
Super
and-
troopers.
And the
Super
state, the
troopers,
statey
yeah.
like
Super
to.
trooper.
Oh my gosh, dude! Speaking of DUIs,
Uh-oh.
if there was any
That's a
town
great
that
way to start
needs
a
the entire,
conversation.
if any town needs to have breathalyzers on the ignitions of the cars, it's mine. Oh my God, the amount of drunk people I've seen go through the drive-through beer and wine store has to be at least, and I think Jesse said, yeah, we get at least 5 or 6 people a day here who are obviously
yeah.
drunk, but getting them arrested is bad for business.
Yeah.
Also, Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay.
That's not good.
So that was, I think he
Kent's
said,
also
Jesse
college
said that as a
kids.
joke. Jesse said that as a joke. He would said, I would never drive drunk. That's a dumb
Legal
idea.
disclaimer.
Legal disclaimer.
disclaimer.
He
Don't
was
drive
joking.
drunk.
Don't drive drunk. But anyway, the statey would like to sit outside of Bob's and
idea.
wait for people to go through, obviously drunk, pull them over and take them in. And I'm like, man, he's meeting his quota quick.
That's smart.
Did he actually do that?
Yeah,
Nice.
he would sit outside and then
I'm all for it.
Oh man, there was the one time. So my friend Nathan was working. You've met Nathan. He went to my graduation party.
Very nice.
So Nathan
That was so long ago.
It was a long time
Do you
ago. It was back
remember?
in 2018.
Yeah.
So, but
It was so
Nathan,
long ago. It's okay. I can barely remember.
but
my name,
Nathan
though.
had this lady come through, and she came into the drive-through with a 24-ounce can of Bud Light in her hand
Oh no.
in the drive-thru. And she had it.
Road pop.
If you're gonna drive drunk, don't have the alcohol in the vehicle.
If you're gonna drive drunk,
Don't.
no, I'm not gonna finish this.
Just don't.
Just don't even.
But anyway, and he
I know plenty
he
of
said
people
one,
who
the car reeked of beer and cigarettes. 2, he saw multiple other opened, empty cans sitting in the vehicle.
But it's good for business.
Well, again, this was a joke. So then the lady asked for more beer, and he told her no. I'm not selling you anymore. Do you want to pat? And she asked, all right, fine, just give me the cigarettes. So he sold her the cigarettes, and then the second she drove out, he dialed the police. And she got arrested up the road in a ditch.
In a ditch.
In a ditch.
In a ditch.
That was quick.
I guess that problem solved itself.
Yes, it
Luckily,
did.
no one else was
Luckily,
harmed.
no one else was harmed. Yeah,
Yes, luckily no one else
Could have
was
been
harmed.
worse.
But apparently, and we later heard the story, this lady's husband had just died.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
So apparently the whole reason why this was happening was because she was depressed, which is like terrible, but at the same time, lady, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like, don't drive drunk. No matter, I'm sorry, I know that alcoholism is a problem and it needs to be solved. But at the same time,
It's not gonna be solved with another.
it's
Bud
not
Light.
going to be solved by killing someone in a car. It's
Yeah.
not going to be solved that way.
Grieving people operate in weird ways.
Yeah, they
Yes.
certainly do.
They all have their way of coping.
It's the saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't hurt people.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a fun story from my past job.
I've got the solution. Non-alcoholic alcohol.
Dude,
Heineken does that.
Really
Heineken
popular.
Heineken does
makes
that.
non-alcoholic beer now?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of places make non-alcoholic beer. One of the biggest
How,
ones
though?
these days is Athletic. There's a brand. I'm probably butchering
But the
the name,
way
but
you
it's called
make
Athletic.
beer is by
They have
fermenting
IPAs. They have stouts. They have all these different varieties, and they're all 0.0% alcohol.
But the flavor of the beer comes from the fermented grain.
And there's apparently a way to do it without alcohol.
Well, alcohol is a lower boiling point than water.
Because Heineken,
That's not perfect though. You're still driving off plenty of the flavor of the actual beer.
the way that Heineken advertised it was they had a showed in their commercial for it. A guy was driving and got
driving
pulled
with
o-
the thing in his hand.
Yeah, he got pulled over by the cop and he said
non-alcoholic.
non-alcoholic, and then he handed the beer to the cop. He looked it over. All right.
I don't
Walking
see
away.
that happening at all.
No,
No,
I
it's
see-
highly-
I
You're
see-
getting pulled out of the vehicle and
It's
you're,
a
you're
field
going to
sobriety
jail.
It's
test,
extremely
at least.
impractical.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're at least doing a sobriety test.
Don't do that either.
So,
Also,
can we
iPhone
talk-
cookies.
can we talk about the sobriety test?
That's not a
Say-
sobriety test. That's an agility test. The
No,
meme.
I'm just saying the sobriety test. Say the ABCs backwards. I can't do that fucking sober.
Neither can I.
You clearly haven't practiced enough.
Yeah, what?
My favorite one was, oh yeah, I can only do that drunk anyway.
Yeah, you gotta practice so hard you can do it drunk. Yeah, I'm not so sure how much merit.
All
we
right,
really
the only
put in
thing I
those.
My
got for
solution
backwards
is to
ABCs
just
is
not
Zen.
drink and drive. It's
Yeah, that's a pretty easy solution. Is just don't
Say your
If I
say your
can feel
ABCs
it, I don't
backwards.
drive.
ZYXWZUT.
No, just turn around and start saying them.
Put the car in reverse.
All right, I've been practicing.
Oh my god.
Just turn around and just start saying A. Damn it, this guy
You
got me.
started with A and got it wrong. Oh man. Well,
Ah,
sucks to
boy.
be you on that
I'm
day.
too drunk to do that, officer.
Oh my.
Officer, I can barely remember my own name, let alone the alphabet.
Well, since we're on this, I have a fun, and I guess this group is probably not the best to ask this question because.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, driving
Hit
under
me.
the influence, should it also encompass legal drugs?
Yes.
Yes.
What's a legal drug in your definition?
Okay, say marijuana.
Alcohol is a legal drug.
It's still illegal to drive in places where marijuana is legal. It's illegal to drive.
Okay,
under
I was gonna
marijuana.
say like I think in the next less than 5 years, I think marijuana will be legalized in Ohio.
I was saying that for the past 10 years and it still hasn't happened.
I honestly.
okay.
Ohio's really Republican though, so I'm.
we're-
We're a swing state.
We're a swing state.
Swing
and
state?
we still.
We
have
did
pretty
vote. We did vote
I
Republican.
thought that we were more
where every 2
Republican
years
than
we
we are.
no every 2 years.
Oh,
we
every 2
switch.
years we switch.
Which is also why during the
In
Biden
this
election.
we were Republican.
Yes, but my theory is that the next election we're gonna swing blue.
But also,
We're gonna
what's
swing blue
interesting is
next
that
elections?
the most recent,
try this.
I know there's been on the ticket for several years. At this point,
we're just
it's like-
knocking over the lights.
Sorry, I just wanted to fix them, and then that didn't work.
It didn't help.
For the last, at least, I'm going to say from the last 4
I
to
went a
8
little heavy
years,
there,
there has
sorry.
been
Oh, well.
a ticket on the
You
ballot
see how big the
about
bottle is? You act like I care.
the district
I
map.
act like you care because alcohol's expensive.
And for anyone who's still listening, the district I'm in is actually really, really screwed up in that it looks like a sliver that goes all the way from the bottom of the city all the way up top.
Yes.
Basically to the lake. So, I mean, this is a big
Appley.
shard of the map that's just obviously gerrymandered. I mean, you can tell based on the jagged outline. I think if your polygon has more than 100 sides, it's probably gerrymandered, right? And I think that'd be easy to write into legislation, but we're not going to go there. And it's been that way for a long time.
I've heard Alex's spiel on this.
The most recent update that I've heard is that the Republican group has been trying to change it. They're aware, and maybe, I don't know, they're embarrassed by it. I'm embarrassed by it. I think it's pathetic that our district map looks like this, and they want to change it, and it's been a hot issue for 4 to 6 years in Ohio at minimum. But I still haven't seen any change in it.
American politics.
Yeah, it's like...
Does it benefit the Republicans? Does it benefit the Democrats? If it benefits only one side, it never gets passed.
Yeah.
If it benefits both sides, it gets passed if it fucks over the citizens. Otherwise, it doesn't get passed.
So I'm at least proud to say from an independent perspective in Ohio, both parties realize it's bullshit. So they're trying to work on it. They're trying to work on it. It's a work in progress.
At least they can collaborate on one thing.
Yeah, there's something that every single person can see. The 11.7 million people in Ohio are like, this shape is really complicated. I don't have a name for this.
So speaking of the political, since we're turning this into casual politics.
Right.
Casual politics.
It just keeps going. One day we were armchair lawyers, then we were armchair psychologists.
We got it
now
all
we're
covered.
Armchair
Politicians.
Yeah.
So
It just rotates around.
Going to this, did you guys see, like, this was like breaking news on Reddit, which because it's Reddit, so I guess it doesn't matter that much.
Breaking news. Yeah.
But apparently the two,
so the neckbeards.
Yeah.
the two Utah government, like the two people running for Utah government made an ad together for the Republican and the Democratic Party.
That's
they
really
made an
cute.
ad together, and they're like, we don't hate each other. We don't belittle each other for our politics. And I'm like, yep, this country's fucked.
How-
We are fucked.
How refreshing, even if it's full of shit.
Yeah, right?
Well, no, I don't necessarily think it's full of shit, but it's really sad that our political compass, or our political state of this country has gotten to when belittling each other isn't the standard. And that's the thing, okay? I'm about to piss off a lot of people here.
Do
I
it.
acknowledge
Do it. Quoting the wise words of Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
As his volume gets turned down.
I remember during the
The amount
2020...
of peaking that you just caused pains me. And I'm not wearing headphones. I can't hear it, but I know what just
Kyle's
happened.
laughing a lot,
probably-
so I'm assuming it's bad.
From the
I'm
perspective of
sorry.
the audio guy.
It's a one-time thing.
All right, so anyway, so I remember during the 2020 the presidential debate, the first one, the 2020 presidential debate, I watched it, and I got too mad I turned it off.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got too mad and turned it off, and I guess this isn't necessarily a bad opinion, but like the entire time, the reason why I was mad was not the reason why I was mad is because they were like they weren't even talking about politics, they're just belittling each other.
They weren't
Just
even
calling
talking
each
to
other
each
That
other.
is just modern American politics.
Right.
I
and
know
that's
what you're talking
that
about.
makes me mad. And
Red
I
people are
hate
like
that.
this.
It's
Blue
not
people are like this.
productive.
We're destined to fight forever. Blood in the streets.
Also,
Yeah,
I have one other
pretty
question.
much what it was. It was just President Trump calling Biden an idiot, and then it was Biden from the current President Biden calling Trump an idiot. And I'm like, this isn't a political debate.
Yeah.
This isn't a debate.
It's children
just
on the
a sissy
playground,
fight.
but they're
It's
all
just
70.
a pissing match.
Right.
Like it's stupid, and that's what bothered me. If they would have done a political debate, like I remember as a kid, like watching Obama versus McCain was like one of the first ones I remember watching, and if it was like that, I would have actually sat down and watched it. Because and that's the other thing too. I miss seeing like Bush and Obama shake hands and like, hey, you won, your political party's in power, but I'm going to respect you for it. I miss that. And I'm only 21. I am not old.
You guys remember the peaceful transfer of power?
Yeah, in the last decade, no, a little over a decade, this country has gone from a political shift of, hey, we can agree to disagree, to fuck you, I'm going to shoot you. That is not a good solution. Okay? And you
American
can
way.
clip this and put it on TikTok if you want. I don't care.
Begrudgingly marks the clip. All right, let's pull away from all the politics because I'm sure any amount of our viewers are gone now.
I do have one thing left on politics
one of the next
that I want to expand
podcasts.
up
Can we
on.
turn into armchair alcoholics? Is that the
That'll be
done.
podcast. That'll be the third episode we record.
Not yet. Not yet.
This
Oh,
is
boy,
this is
Gruder.
a hot take too.
Let's hear it.
We have so many of those.
Marijuana should be legal.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's not a hot take in our
I
generation.
don't think
I'll
that's a
drink to
hot
that.
take in our
in
generation.
our generation, it's not a hot take. I fully.
I can drink to that. You gotta.
I am not a user of marijuana, but I fully believe it should be legal.
There's a lot more.
comment.
There's a lot more health benefits to it than
When
than
offered,
pills,
no.
than pills. Because there are so many people that I know that were on pills and had so many problems with it. They got approved for medical marijuana use that solved almost all of their issues that they had with the pills and without.
Dude, my mom has a medical marijuana card.
And
Like, no joke.
Bless her.
and I feel it should also be it should be treated like alcohol. You don't fire your employee for going home and being an alcoholic on their free time. Your free time should be your free time to do as you
your
choose.
test will show it for 90 days or longer.
I'm sorry, what?
That the hair test can show it for up to
Oh,
90 days
hair
in your
test.
system, which is not a representative of whether or not you're an abuser of it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not accurate. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
what's
I
going
see
on?
it.
Because he
I was
wasn't.
too
he was
far
too
from
far.
my microphone.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
That's
see
just
it.
my opinion.
I see it. I see it a similar-ish way. I don't know.
I don't like taxes, but I'm gonna go back on my political podium. I
I
apologize.
have something I want to explain.
like, you know what? Yeah. So my opinion
Let's
of
all
it is
step onto our soapboxes real quick.
anything I think sinful things, what like religious people would call sinful things, should be legalized, and we should tax the piss out of them.
Well, that's what they did with cigarettes. That's how
Great
they paid
idea.
for the old, I believe not Jacobs Field, but the field before Municipal Stadium. That's how they paid for it.
I didn't know there's something
I
before
don't know.
Jacobs Field.
Yeah, it was
Again, you're
Municipal
too far from your
Stadium.
microphone.
I didn't know there was something other than Jacobs Field.
It was called Municipal Stadium. But the state of Utah, they had over $11 million surplus after legalizing recreational marijuana use. Probably about 6 months after that, they just started pumping into renovation of schools, roads, parks, everything.
I don't know what the number on prostitution is in the state of Nevada, but it's actually probably pretty high.
Wow.
So can we throw references to being the heroin capital? I mean, so here's
Yeah.
a thought.
Okay,
right?
that's the one drug that maybe we shouldn't legalize.
Whoa,
Methamphetamine?
Okay. So here's the thing, though, right?
It's basically legalized under prescription.
I'll
so.
throw one
Yeah,
thing
right.
out there, devil's advocate, though.
All right, let's hear it, Devil's Advocate.
If people are using it, they're getting it from bad sources. You have the whole fentanyl problem and
Yeah.
other issues of people just outright dying.
Sure.
If you make it such an illegal thing, no one wants to search and get help for it anyway.
Sure.
Because if they do, they're immediately being thrown in
That's
jail.
literally what Oregon did.
you
What's-
treat basically homeless people as criminals rather than as addicts. And
Right.
then you
what's
don't ever treat
what's
the problem.
point? You're not helping them. You're just using them as a source of funding or whatever.
You throw them in
because
jail
all
and
the
make me
prison-
pay for them.
all
If we
the
die,
prisons
the
are
CIA
for-profit
did it.
anyway.
Yeah.
They're not actually helping people.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
trying
They're
to get
not
people back in
rehabilitating.
prison again.
We're now on a watch list,
Yeah,
not
we're
just
on-
by our viewers.
We're on so many watch lists. It's
Did you know how
okay.
many private prisons there are in Ohio?
Oh, I think this whole country's like 90% private prisons. or
This
something.
this
It's ridiculous.
episode's title needs to be Armchair Politics.
All right, we'll go for it.
politics.
Armchair politicians, yes, indeed. But I don't know. I mean, if you legalize it, you have a clean source at least, and maybe there's a better force to promote people to actually seek help for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, someone's only going to get help if they actually want help for it.
Sure.
But it at least provides the option. And sure, absolutely, arrest people, whatever, give them DUIs. They can't be driving or anything like that.
No.
but,
And selling
you know,
more than an ounce at a time, that's probably
Good
a
job.
problem.
You have described Oregon's current state.
And gee,
Cool.
wouldn't it be cool to have a couple extra $1 billion for money to just throw around into the infrastructure and other various
Well,
health
it's just
care
gonna
Yes,
go-
and
my
education
car
that we
can't
need
take
here
any
in
more
Ohio.
potholes, Ohio.
You're wrong. It's just going into the politicians' pockets. You know that.
Well,
just
as it
much
always
I
does,
do.
doesn't it?
Exactly.
Ohio, fix the roads that you tax me to drive on, to drive the car to help fix the car that you tax me to drive, and also tax me to fix.
I'm driving.
Hey,
here,
they're
I
better
sit,
than Tennessee
cursing my
roads. The
government
Tennessee roads are dog shit.
for not
Tennessee
using
roads
my
are horrible.
taxes
We just
to
went to
fill
Pigeon
holes with
Forge in
more cement.
August.
They were so bad.
They were horrible.
Tennessee, I think, is the worst road infrastructure in the U.S., though.
Probably.
Although
Arizona,
the farther
New
south you
Mexico.
go, the worse it gets.
Do you want your road to flood or freeze and break every year? It's kind of
Tennessee
a
was
and-
the worst on our trip to
I would
Alabama.
rather drive a jacked up truck here in Ohio than have a road that floods every 5 minutes.
Arizona and
Thanks,
New Mexico
Florida.
have the best roads, but that's also because they're only under sun.
They have to get
and
the
then that's
dust
other
out of
thing.
them every
They,
once in a
they,
while.
they put a tarmac road down
And then it
you,
melts.
Yeah, no, and then you never have to touch it for like
Right.
literally 3 decades. The only reason why you have to touch it is because the ground slightly moved.
And then you have Ohio, where our budget for potholes is fill them with gravel and then wait until one day later when all the gravel falls out. Oops, sorry, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, anyway,
let's get. You know what? Let's just do a hard shift. Let's get off of politics.
Yeah,
honestly,
let's get off of politics.
I think we lost all of our viewers.
Really cool idea. Y'all seen
Let's hear it.
you'll see the Pine phones and stuff that run Linux on an actual phone.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, so basically it's a cell phone.
Okay.
But it runs desktop Linux effectively.
Cool.
It's probably going to be my next phone.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have Google on it, and it's an actually private-ish phone. At least as private as you can easily get on a phone.
Circling back to our original topic.
Ian be like, Google bad.
It is.
I know.
Thanks, YouTube. You're not paying our bills anyway, so fuck you.
Fuck you, Susan. No.
How to get off the platform in 10 seconds.
Cut that from the podcast, Ian.
No. I am the editor. I will override.
I'm sorry, Susan, YouTube. But I don't speak for the podcasts.
She's a soccer mom. She doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
No, actually, she would care as soon as you say something that she doesn't
Susan
agree with.
is Karen. All right.
I think I have an idea.
Most of our
though.
viewers are on Spotify anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I have an idea though, right? You take your Android phone and you basically get a laptop.
Okay.
Or not Android, sorry, Linux phone, and you get like a
yes.
laptop, right? But it's not a laptop. It doesn't have a GPU or a CPU or anything in it. The processing power is the phone. It's just a screen with a big old battery in it.
Chandler seems upset.
This is a thing that already exists.
Yeah, I don't care. You slot the phone in, and then boom, the phone
This already
goes to the
exists.
display.
You just opened
Linus has
Gmail.
videos on it. This already exists.
Well, you know what? Good. But is it any good is the question. It needs to be good and actually like usable. People need to actually want to use
So
it.
I
what?
have a feeling the thumbnail is going to be me looking pained because he pulled out his phone.
Can I ask, what is the interface from the phone to the empty shell of a laptop? What is the interface?
In the case,
Type-C.
Yeah. in the-
Okay, great segue. Here's something I want to talk about. If we're talking about the greatest inventions of the last decade,
USB Type-C.
some people might say, oh, it's all this research in the medical field or the financial field or the politics, or blah, blah. It's USB-C. Here's why. I have a laptop that I don't even love this laptop, right? If you're a simp for Dell, good for you. But I got this Dell laptop I got through work, and it's a Latitude, and it's okay. But it has a Thunderbolt dock, which costs almost as much as the damn laptop. And all you plug into is the USB-C port. And I've got up to 3 1080p monitors at 60 frames per second. I've got Ethernet. I've got USB 3.1. I've got everything I could ever want in my life all over one protocol.
Oh, yeah. Over
Why?
one port.
Why is it that USB-C is the greatest thing we've ever invented as a society?
The only problem is the fact that it's got like 18 different standards on that one protocol.
And nobody follows them,
You've
right?
got OBDC, which the Commodore uses. It
Sure.
includes 12 volts. You get USB Type-C 3.1, Type-C 3.2, all the other.
It's a little hard to
that
keep
comes
track
with
of.
it. And, yeah.
Clip that.
There's another shirt with a quotation.
I want a
that.
USB-C 3 shirt. It's going to be the newest thing. I don't care.
Hey, bringing us back to wearable tech. Your shirts are going to have Type-C ports on
Oh,
them.
that's what it is.
That's
Until
the shirt.
USB Type D comes out. Da, da, da.
My
USB
shirt
D.
uses the power of my body heat.
No,
from my body
No,
heat.
no,
you
that's
know what I
physically
need to do?
impossible.
I
I'm
need
sorry,
to get another
Chandler.
tattoo right here that's just an extremely hyper-realistic
USB Type-C port. This is gold. Yes.
So now when
Yes,
you're in
this is
Jeff
gold.
Bezos' future, when he's like, yep, just plug this in
Yep,
to
just
pay
plug
for your
this-
Amazon Prime account, and you do it. It's just a tattoo. It's
So-
fake.
Yeah, man, that's my crypto wallet. I
ya.
just got it.
So my dad, whenever I was a kid, would joke about this, and he said that he read an article one day saying that, in the future, instead of having IDs, we're just gonna have NFC chips implanted in our arms.
I
And he
wanna
said-
do it.
No, and he's told, and he
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Private.
I want to do
Where
it
do we draw the line?
because if it's an RFID chip, technically you can be tracked with it, but it's so convenient because if you work at a place with a key card, you scan the key card into your little RFID implant, and then boom, you wave your hand in front of a door and it opens.
And now we know where the line is of convenience and privacy, and it's right there at RFID.
no,
Well,
but let me wait,
Technically,
wait.
you could track it because you'd need a long range reader.
You gotta have high power to be able
Yeah,
to track
so-
You have to have really high power and other stuff. Exactly.
I love Hamura.
So my dad
I
told
also
me.
want a little magnet implant. That'd be real cool to be able to sense power lines through walls and shit.
It is pretty fun, but you don't need to implant it to feel it.
Yeah, but anyway,
Just hold a magnet.
So apparently, the article that my dad had read was like, oh, instead of having physical ID cards like we do now, we would just have an RFID tag on our arm. And my dad said he'd want his put in his ass, so the cop had to scan his ass.
Scan my ass, asshole.
Weirdly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm with your dad on the ass implants.
Clip that.
And a few of you have met my dad. Can you believe he said that?
I can't, to be honest. Wow. That's wow.
Oh my.
That's
Well, what a thought. What a thought experiment that was.
sure is a thought. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's sort of all the body mod that I'd ever want to do. Magnet and an RFID chip. And even then.
RFID seems like enough, right? I mean, if you can identify
NFC,
yourself.
but yeah.
Yeah.
well,
But then you can just like scan into work with your hand. It sounds cool, but I don't know. You are right. There is a little bit of weirdness that goes on there with privacy and tracking. Because
like
you have but you could also theoretically just null it out whenever you want.
Have like
right?
a Faraday glove.
I was just thinking null it. Because you can flash it with just whatever. If you could flash it with a phone or something, even.
What is?
Oh, I have an idea for an app about that. No, seriously, I have an idea about it.
using the near field communication or whatever
Got
on
a
the
blast.
phone, and you just null it out to all zeros, right?
Okay.
Or random data, but all zeros or all ones. That's going to be more difficult to track.
I want to know what his brain moment was.
All right, what was the?
Well, no, this is an idea I've had for a while. Okay, once Quentin's done dying.
Yeah,
Needs a moment
Quentin.
to breathe.
So you know how when we worked in an office together, how we got into the building was we had these NFC cards we scanned on the doorway.
I do remember that.
What if instead we developed an app where all you had to do is put the NFC card up to your phone, scan the NFC card in it, and then every time you went up to the door, your phone would automatically replicate the NFC signal that was inside of that card.
Does that already exist?
I don't know. It might. If not,
my phone has NFC.
If not, I would like to make our own version of it as a casual
See, now I
coders
see
project.
privacy
I think it would be
issues, though,
really
because
cool.
now it's a Google-owned phone and Google has that data or something.
Honestly,
probably.
with privacy issues, you mentioned now, if you have this thing in your hand and someone can scan it, can't they just duplicate it and pretend to be you now? Is that...
Sure,
kind of an
but
interesting-
I'm thinking low-value targets, like a hotel room key card or something.
Well, that was I had
thing.
the concept while I was on vacation, and we had the NFC cards to get
You
in the
had
hotel
one.
room.
Did you open it with your phone?
No, but I wanted to find an app that did that. I didn't trust any apps. That's why I wanted to make an open source one that we would make that it would be public how the data gets transmitted.
Did
within
you
your
know
phone.
that in order to use Bluetooth on an Android smartphone, you must enable location? It is a required service for Bluetooth.
That does
to even
bother
work.
me. I
That
don't
bothers
understand
the
that.
piss out of me. Yeah.
Why? Do we know why?
That's actually kind of dumb.
Okay, so technically the reason behind it is that Bluetooth is a leaky connection and could possibly leak your location. So I'm assuming
Why?
that they require... I don't know. If you have
Okay.
Bluetooth turned on, you can track the Bluetooth or whatever.
It's just
Still
you
doesn't
are-
make sense why they want you to turn on location to use Bluetooth.
Yeah, that
It
doesn't
seems
make
like an
sense at all.
overreach. But I guess maybe you can justify it by location must be turned on to show that you consent to like Bluetooth, your location possibly being leaked over the protocol. But
Weird.
I'm still sketched out because if you get Chinesium RGB LED controllers, they work over Bluetooth through a Chinesium app that obviously reports all of your data to their Chinese servers.
I'm so glad
and
I can't
then
afford the
there's your
Bluetooth
location.
Chinesium. I only have the IR ones.
The
I had
Bluetooth ones, they're easy to hack over an actual like web page. I used JavaScript. That was my first interaction with JavaScript and HTTPS or whatever, or HTML, sorry, to make a web page that would connect out to this Bluetooth receiver, and you just click a color on the gradient that I made on a web
Was
page.
it one of those drop it? Was it the HC08 or the HC06 or whatever it is? That Bluetooth.
I have an
chip?
HC05 and an HC06.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
This was like a Triones controller thing. It's literally RGB analog ground.
I was pissed because the one Bluetooth chip I had that I was playing with was a Chinesium chip, and I can say that because it was made in China, but also the drivers were written in China, and they didn't follow the standard, which was
nice.
really infuriating. So like some of the stuff didn't make sense. Where it'd be like you're supposed to put quotes around this thing, but if you encapsulate it in quotes, it wouldn't work. And it was
nice.
like okay,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting, huh?
So I damn it, I just lost my train of thought.
Whoa, what's up with that?
It had something to do with so my mom when I was a teenager made me put this app called Life 360 on my phone.
Ah, yes.
And I recently found it. Well, not recently, but when I was a teenager, I knew for a fact that Life 360 was known for selling user data.
That's parental overreach.
Yeah, so I would always
Chinesium
I would
overreach.
always tell my mom, I don't like this app. I don't like this app. I don't like this app.
Do I have to say Doibuchi again?
It's okay though. Google's already selling your data, so why should you care?
Well, I do care because, well, to be fair, I was a teenager. I didn't want my mom to know where I was. But
I mean, that's valid, yeah.
I was a teenager with a girlfriend. I really didn't know my mom to know where I was.
Teenager do teenager things.
Yeah.
Well, when
Sneaking
everyone in the
around at
town
night.
knows you,
Yeah, that's also true with your town of 500 whole people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Don't sneak around in a town with 3 digits. Sneak in a town with 6 digits.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of dating people in Randolph, I had to date people in Atwater because people in Randolph were my cousins.
Yeah.
you're statistically...
You're just a few states forward at that point.
Yeah, I was statistically
You're just third cousins. It's fine.
But yeah, I had to. All right, so we have any closing topics you guys want to talk about?
I simped for USB-C. I'm happy.
I'm going to sit for USB Type D. It's not even out.
You know what? I bet USB Type D is...
I bet it's going to be terrible.
I think USB Type C will actually be be the thing that sticks around.
Hold
for
on, we have
long
USB
time.
A, B, and C.
A
is great, B sucks ass, C is great, so D is going to be shit.
It's a pattern.
Okay. Yeah,
It's just like Windows.
Like Windows, yeah. Is it the Vista or is it the,
I've heard okay
2000?
things about 11 though. I haven't heard 11's been that bad because it's just 10
Apparently
with a new skin.
the display settings are dog shit.
Well,
Yep.
they were ever since Windows 7 was like, all right, let's just keep some of the UI, but like put other elements in that
Have I talked about the 3 levels of user that I want on the podcast for Windows?
No, please tell me.
Yeah.
All
go
right.
ahead.
Well, we'll quickly end on users, I guess. So Prusa Slicer, one of the slicers used for my 3D printers, has 3 levels. It has simple, intermediate, and advanced.
I like
and
that.
I want that on Windows. I want a simple mode for your grandmother.
Okay.
An intermediate mode for
the-
someone who knows a little bit.
for the
or
average user. Yeah.
And an
learning,
advanced mode. The simple mode hides all but the simplest things required to use a computer.
So
intermediate
it's just
is sorta
Google
where-
Chrome.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just a Chromebook.
Not quite that simple, but you know, just like some of the Windows control panels without more of the advanced settings. Or
It's
whatever.
impossible to open the disk management control panel in simple mode.
Right, exactly. Or at least it's well hidden or something
You
like
gotta
that.
enter a password.
Versus not a password, but
You gotta say what the hottest trending
Windows
thing is on
R
TikTok.
DSK MGMT dot
No, you're ruining Grandma's computer.
I'd be sort of okay with that.
Yeah.
In intermediate mode, sort of where we're at today. An advanced mode, I just want one.
I want source
or two
access to Windows.
No, I
Yes.
want 1 or 2 control panels that display everything. I don't
Yes.
care if it's 3, 5, 10 pages long. I want to see all the things in one place so I can
Wait.
configure my settings.
Have you seen God mode?
I have, and it's not enough.
It's not enough, but what if they just took that and
Right,
rolled
what
with
if it was God mode, but for every
Windows,
single thing? Yes.
Microsoft, please, anyone.
They're not gonna
follow
anyone.
it.
I'm
Just
shouting
switch-
into the void at this point.
We're
please.
shouting into the void. They're not going to follow it. That's why I'm switching to
Please.
Linux. Anyway, that's my rant.
I was
step
gonna
off the
say, have you
pedestal.
seen my Linux control panel, dude? I
I
have
haven't, but I
literally
need to.
every single setting possible in a computer.
Yeah, just like
And
available,
like,
right?
there's still like a
Yeah.
good chunk of settings that I have to go into and modify config files for, but obviously I have
If
the
you're
knowledge.
modifying a like text config file, that's probably fine. But like, I
I want
hate-
Windows, but instead I have to use Nano to edit all my settings.
All right, you're not
No.
using Vim.
But yeah, I don't know. I want like the Windows control panels now, but just with all the settings. I hate you open the Windows control panel and then you get sounds, but it's only the sound output device you're working on, and then you click the advanced sound options, and then you go to the sound control.
Yeah, how many
panel,
control
and now
panels do you have
can
to go
finally-
through?
I've heard they're
Yeah,
trying to
right.
fix that though with Windows 11. The whole point, like one of
Doubt.
the big pushes is that they were removing the control panel altogether.
But it's
going to
be more minimal, and then you're going to have to go through even more steps and more.
Yeah, now
control
instead of
panels,
going into the
because
control
now it's
panel-
right-click more instead of just right-click.
Now you have to go into the registry and manually edit everything.
Exactly. We're getting.
I would
worse.
be delighted to
I mean,
watch
that's
this
advanced
10 years
mode.
later and be wrong, but I'm guessing that's never going to be changing anytime soon.
Yeah.
So here's to hoping
Just hoping.
that maybe someday when everything is still running on USB-C because it's the greatest protocol that's ever been invented.
USB-E.
Yeah, USB-E maybe it'll be the new one. that maybe they'll figure out how to make consistent UI in Windows. But until that day, if that ever happens,
It's never gonna happen, and you know it.
Yeah, I
you
won't
can
even
still
bother.
find Windows 3 UI.
yeah, that's honestly, yeah. Every time I go to install a print driver and I see that little like 2-bit color icon, I'm like, oh, geez, we're still here.
And on that note, thank you
Thank you for watching the Casual Coders podcast.
we hope you guys enjoyed. We apologize for turning into armchair politicians, I guess.
I don't apologize.
We are the casual politicians or something. I don't know.
We just talk about random stuff.
We're just talking about random stuff that I guess sort of interests us, but also makes
We
us
need
angry.
to somehow relate the politics to code next time.
We need
If we
to
do
Some-
talk about
I thought
it.
you were the way that you were pointing. I
Let's
thought you were
relate the
putting the
politics
bottles.
to Maker's Mark and whiskey.
So
We're
I
not
programmed this
sponsored,
Maker's
but if Alex's friend wants to sponsor us for Maker's Mark whiskey, please do.
And if Liquid Death wants to sponsor us, we'd love the.
We love a sponsor.
Anyway,
Anyway, I
thank
think
you.
that wraps this one up.
Bye.
Woo, yeah.
Bye. Till we meet again.